Hello, YouTube. This is Let's Talk Horror, and welcome back to another video. And I wanted to jump on here today and talk about an interview that John Carpenter gave recently, in which he talked about many things. The big thing that people were talking about was the fact that he said Halloween Kills. It's very likely it's going to streaming, or it's probable that it's going to streaming. That was the big thing. But the other thing that kind of came out of that's just now being talked about the last couple of days by, Bloody Disgusting in this interview with NME Magazine. I honestly have never heard of that magazine before. But he said that a sequel to his 1980 film, The Fog, has been talked about, and, that it could be happening, or that he's open to the idea or whatever. So first of all, I watched The Fog 1980 again for just the second time the other night. And I want to say, if there's one word to describe that movie, it's underrated. When we talk about the great John Carpenter movies, obviously Halloween and The Thing are almost always the first two movies people talk about, That's usually the big debate, is Halloween or The Thing his best movie? I think it's The Thing. The Thing, I've said, I believe I said this in my Thing reboot video, that The Thing is not only my favorite John Carpenter film, but maybe my favorite horror movie of all time. And then you get into the other movies as well. And you get into kind of the second tier, and that's when you hear movies like Christine, or Assault on Precinct 13, or, Prince of Darkness, or They Live. And The Fog just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, to be honest, But to be honest, guys, The Fog might be my third favorite John Carpenter movie, behind Halloween and The Thing. That's how good it is. I really enjoyed it the other night. I love the simple premise at its heart. It's just a revenge story, to be honest. I love the setting. I love the cinematography, the mood and atmosphere it creates. I mean, they took something as simple as fog and made it scary, which is a testament. I love the soundtrack. It's one of John Carpenter's more underrated soundtracks as well. And I just don't think it really gets the credit it deserves. It might be a distant third if I were to ever make a John Carpenter top 10 movie list. But he said, that he's open to the idea of a sequel, that it's been talked about. And I'm really interested to hear what you guys think, because to be honest, guys, I just don't see what a sequel would do. We got the 2005 remake, which John Carpenter actually wrote, or co-wrote. But yeah, that was honestly pretty forgettable. I watched it a year or two ago and forgot it within 5 minutes. But yeah, I don't get what a sequel would do. I think The Fog is a really, really good one-off, simple horror movie. And the only sequel concept I can think of is if you have Jamie Lee Curtis and or Tom Atkins come back to reprise their roles that they had in The Fog. I think it would actually be really cool to see Jamie Lee Curtis come back and reprise a role other than Laurie Strode. That would be cool. But outside of that, guys, I really don't have a concrete concept. I just don't think The Fog needs it. I think a Thing sequel or reboot or whatever is much more justified than The Fog. But the other thing I wanted to say is maybe John Carpenter, maybe this is what gets him back in the director's chair, because he's talked about, he thinks he has one more horror movie in him. And, he's often said he does not think The Fog is actually one of his best works. So I guess we'll see. Maybe this is something that he would come back to direct himself, and maybe try to kind of perfect the idea that he apparently doesn't think is one of his best works, although I do. I think The Fog is honestly very good, if not great, for what it's setting out to do. But yeah, that's kind of it for me today, guys. I'm really curious to see what you think, and maybe John Carpenter has a really, really, really cool sequel idea. I just can't really think of it outside of maybe having a couple of the original cast return. It just doesn't really feel necessary to me. It really doesn't. But hopefully the fog starts getting more recognition because it desperately deserves it. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.